So, welcome. Thank you for joining us for this interactive session with student entrepreneurs and how they develop their ideas into a startup. First, let me introduce you to Dr. Rhea Perkins. Rhea is a program and operations manager for CreateX. CreateX is the only student incubator program at Georgia Tech and is aimed at instilling entrepreneurial confidence in students and empower them to launch successful startups. Thanks, Rhea.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Thanks for being here. We have some very talented students here that's going to talk to you all about their entrepreneurship experience, how they came to terms with their idea, and their experience in startup launch over the summer. So I hope that you all enjoy what everyone has to say, and then possibly ask questions towards the end of the event. Okay, Risha. Okay, so CreateX is a program on campus that helps students start startups. That's essentially what we do while helping them build entrepreneurial confidence. So Risha is going to show a video about one of our most popular programs within CreateX called Startup Launch, and it just kind of walks you through the summer experience and then students presenting on stage at the end of summer at Demo Day. Oh, Risha, we can't hear it. Risha, do you mind restarting the video? I don't think it's loading properly.
AR.
Can you hear it now?
Yeah. But we can't hear it now.
Is it any better now?
We heard it for 2 seconds, if that.
Our students in entrepreneurship so that they can become innovators and
I can tell that the video has started over, but what we see hasn't started over.
for large outdoor venues.
BRD or conservation.
Our startup is Spotlight AR, an augmented reality navigation platform for large outdoor venues.
BRD or conservation or Tina Health.
Well, maybe we don't need to see the video.
I apologize. I'm not exactly sure what's happening. It always works, and today it decides not to. I apologize for that. I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay. All right. So let's just get right into the startups. That's what the students are here to see anyway. So first, if you each could talk a little bit about yourselves and describe your startup briefly. Anybody want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first.
Okay.
My name is Vishwamudi Ganda, and I'm the co-founder of a platform called Chemnu. Chemnu is a social platform where you can connect with your friends and new people in your area by engaging in interactive group hangouts. It's a super cool and fun, casual way to meet new people and grow your network.
Thanks.
We can go next. Hi, so me and Jenny are co-founders of the startup All Our Weekends, and reimagining all-day comfort for the modern woman, especially as we go into these new normal with Zoom conference calls and just a completely way of life.
I can go. I'm Curtis Larry, and I'm starting a battery swap station for drone delivery in the future. So kind of like the gas stations for little delivery drones to use as they're flying and dropping off packages. And so I'm Hive Deliveries. That's what we're calling it now.
Thanks. Go ahead, John. Yeah, you, John. But we can't hear you.
muted, John.
You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. So my name is John Raj, co-founder of Tangle Labs LLC. So we're building a social media platform for college students, which college students can use to either find teammates for any of their projects or startups, or whether you want to find any like projects or opportunities on college campuses as well.
All right, thanks. So everyone had a chance to introduce themselves, but you all just spoke a little bit about your company. You didn't introduce yourselves, your major, the year you are, any fun fact, nothing. Go ahead, John. You look like you're ready to talk.
Oh yeah. So some things. So I'm studying industrial engineering. I'm a senior in college, so I should be graduating in I have one more year left. What else? I also like filmmaking. That's a hobby of mine. If you're looking for interesting stuff, I write short films with friends as well. About it.
Cool, John. Actually, I like making short films as well.
Really? We can collaborate.
Definitely. Like I said before, I'm Vishwamudi Ganda. So I am a master's student at Georgia Tech studying computer science. Some fun fact about me is I can speak 8 languages.
That is really cool.
I can go. So I'm Curtis Larry. I'm a third year, but I'm graduating this year. I'm graduating in 2 weeks. I'm studying mechanical engineering, but I love computer science and economics as well. And fun facts, I'm a black belt, so don't mess with me or my drones.
Thanks for the heads up.
I can go as well. So I didn't speak earlier because Susan introduced us, but I'm Jenny, part of All Our Weekends, and I just finished my 4th year at Tech studying business. I'm taking another semester here at school to get an extra certificate in finance. And in my spare time, I play on the Women's Club Ultimate Frisbee team.
Hi, my name is Susan Zhang. I am a senior at Washington University in St. Louis studying fashion design and marketing and minoring in CS. I'm graduating this December because I actually took a semester off to do another fashion startup my junior year.
Okay, thanks. And so just for the participants, if you're interested in Startup Launch, you'll notice that Susan is not a Georgia Tech student, which is completely fine. If as you carry on your Georgia Tech career, you're interested in participating in Startup Launch, you could have a co-founder that's not a Georgia Tech student, and we encourage that. So as long as you have one person on your co-founding team that's a Georgia Tech student, you've met the requirement. So just keep that in mind. If you have a cousin or a friend or family member somewhere else, they can still participate. Okay, so let's get into your particular startups. And this is for each of you, whoever wants to just join in and answer the question. What led you to your current idea, and what gave you the motivation to pursue that idea?
I guess I can go first. So Viraj and I actually, we co-founded Chemnu. But the whole concept behind that was we actually met up at a party at UGA, and we realized that all the kids were on their phones. They weren't really interacting. They weren't making meaningful connections. They're just scrolling through Instagram. So then we thought, hey, why don't we build a platform where people can actually, who want to meet up and who want to do social activities together, who can actually go out, build meaningful relationships. And that was where, Chemnu was born on a napkin. And over the next few months, we started iterating and started developing this platform. And now we have over 220 users using our platform who are going out there, socializing, meeting new people, making new friends.
Thank you. Okay, so while you were out at a party, you had this grand idea for Kimnu. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, since you told us how you've come to the idea, what keeps you motivated? What motivated you to actually pursue it? Because it's one thing to come up with an idea, which is a task in itself, but how did you take the next step to actually making it a thing?
Sure, absolutely. What we realized was there are a lot of teenagers and young adults out there who are going through anxiety, who are extremely bored. They don't know what they're doing with their lives. And we wanted to build a platform for them, people who want to make new friends, make those meaningful relationships. And as people started coming onto our platform, they're telling us the same thing. Hey, I really enjoyed your platform. I'm able to make new friends that I couldn't do before. I'm a new person in the city. I don't know anyone. And with your platform, I'm able to make new friends and, grow their network. And hearing those things from people keeps us motivated. We want to start elaborating, start growing out in the state of Georgia and to the region, the surrounding states, things like that. And people keep us motivated. We want to make an impact in their lives.
John, how did you come? Oh, okay.
Oh, no, you were about to say something. Sorry.
No, I was going to ask you, how did you come up with the idea for Tangle?
Okay. So how I came up with the idea for Tangle. So in Tangle, like if you're looking for a co-founder for like your startup or project, you can literally make a posting on the site, and then other people can view the post, network with other people, and connect with you. So how I got the idea was I was part of an entrepreneur club that my friends started. So like every couple of months we might meet like in person in a restaurant. This was before the COVID situation. So we'd meet in a restaurant and I met people that were college students, college graduates, people that were college dropouts as well, people in different industries. So it was nice networking with them. And then I got the idea like, hey, like maybe there should be a way where people can network like or connect with others virtually as well. Like if you don't know the right people, for example, or you need to go and meet strangers, etc. Maybe there's also another way where you can do stuff virtual. And then that's where the idea of Tangle, like of the social media platform my friend and I building.
Okay.
And what keeps me motivated? Well, I think mainly two things. There's two things for motivation for me, right? One thing is like you never want to live your life with like regret in the sense like wondering like I wonder what if I had done something as well. So I had that kind of idea and then I was like, okay, I partnered with my co-founder Thomas and then we went out and built the product and then we didn't want to have any regrets in life. Thinking like I wonder what would have happened if I had done something and didn't do it. So if you have like an idea you're passionate about, like go ahead and do it. Like what's the worst that could happen? That's one thing. Second thing that motivates me is maybe my retirement plans in the sense that I'm not making any money from this right yet in this, but retirement plans is I plan on like later on like maybe buying like a tea estate or something, maybe in Sri Lanka, something like that. And then you'll all be invited if I ever get to that point. But yeah, so that also keeps me motivated in the sense of like, what am I working towards in the future as well? Like it might not be like a short term, but this is like a much long term as well.
Okay. Thank you for that, John. Who's next?
We can go. So I want to address the how Susan and I came up with the idea for all our weekends, and I think with startups, sometimes they can seem a little intimidating because you always hear these stories about people just being struck with a flash of inspiration and then boom, like Tesla was born. But I think that's not always the way that new startups and great ideas are created. For Susan and me, we actually started thinking more about creating this startup together as a result of our application to CreateX, because we were thinking about, okay, a startup sounds really, really interesting, but what can we bring to a new startup that other people won't have? And Susan has this great background in studying fashion design and marketing. I study business strategy, and I also have a background in sustainability from being in some different spaces over my time at Georgia Tech. So we said, okay, what if we bring those things together, sustainability and fashion, and bring our experiences as women, always being in really uncomfortable menswear, to bring this sort of new perspective to the fashion industry. And I think that when you think about creating a startup, it's just as much about what can you bring and what are your strengths, as much as it is about the like innovativeness of the idea itself.
Thank you, Jen.
And I guess I'm last. I kind of came up with mine. I've been in love with robotics since a little kid, and actually earlier this year, I made a overhead robotic delivery system for restaurants that was actually installed in a restaurant in the tech tower called Highland Bakery, and it was working, and I presented that for Inventure. But I've kind of pivoted away from local robotics like this that operates within room, because I think that it's not as scalable and helpful as robotics that can move in kind of unbounded infrastructure like drones. And so I've kind of pivoted my idea from being a local robotic transport system to being a more widespread robotic delivery system. And doing so, there's a bunch of groups already in this space getting FAA approval for drone delivery, and I thought, I don't really think I can take on a massive FAA approval right now. And so how can I still get in the game of drone delivery? And after reading a few academic research papers about economics of drone delivery and also the energy feasibility of it, really the only way I could see drone delivery to be possible is if there's a bunch of stations that swap the drone's batteries out. And so I'm working on building these stations to kind of have scattered around a city and somewhat democratize the space of drone delivery so that Amazon doesn't come in 3 years and completely own that delivery space, completely owning a lot of aspects of our life. I think a third party definitely needs to be the person managing these battery swap and location delivery places. And so that's kind of what keeps me motivated, is that I can't let Goliath win, you know?
Got it. Thanks for that. Okay, so now here's some advice that you all could share. Excuse me, what advice would you give, or some tips that you'd give to incoming students who are interested in entrepreneurship but just aren't sure how to develop an idea? They haven't quite crystallized around an idea. So how could you help them get to that point?
I think one thing you can think about first is, what are some pain points in your life, right? They might not be very innovative, but all of our products or all of our services, they're solving a pain point. And once you find that and something that you're really, really passionate about, it's not just one or two things that still need to be solved in this world, but there's so many that you can look into and so many you can develop. And I think all of us have been through that process of finding that.
Want to add to that?
Yeah, I can kind of bounce off of Susan there too. And part of our product idea too is that we're a women's wear brand, but we're not just a women's wear brand. We are creating a line of products specifically addressing the pain points that we as women have felt. And we can give a sort of specific example in that we have made like an adjustable waistband because women's bodies fluctuate a lot more than men's, even throughout the day. And so that was a pain point that I, as a woman, have felt all my life. Like I've always had to just like unbutton the top button of my jeans, or like had these like red lines on my waist from wearing things that actually fit me in the beginning of the day, but not later. And so we were thinking about creative ways that we could work around that. And I think so often as we're going through life, we just sort of accept that like some of these things that kind of bother us are just, that's the way things are. But if you really start thinking more deeply about the problems that we're facing, even the little ones on a day-to-day basis, and think about, well, why do we have those problems? And is there any way that we could make that better? I think that could be a really great track to addressing problems in a new startup.
Some things I could add to that is, so sure, maybe you found a problem in your life, and it might be small, it might be large. And then to validate that problem is the biggest step. You should go out there, ask other people, are they facing the same problem? And this step is called customer discovery. You figure out how big is your problem actually. So from there, if you understand that, a big enough market has that problem, then there's a valid business model here. You can solve something in this world and make a big impact.
And like one thing I'll add is I'd say like find something like you're passionate about. I'd say this is like very important as well, because like working on a startup, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Like we always hear about all these companies getting sold for billions of dollars, millions of dollars, but it took a lot of effort and work to get to that point, like for acquisition. So if you're planning on doing something, also find something, because juggling a startup as both like a student and an entrepreneur, that could be a lot as well. So, and if you're putting in a lot of effort and work, like do something that you're passionate about and that you'd enjoy as well.
Great. Anyone else want to add?
Yeah, I think one thing I could add is there's always going to be like a bunch of reasons not to do something, but starting is always the hardest thing. And so if you can really just figure out how to make the most valuable prototype of your system, you'll be able to kind of gauge where you should go from there and get the experience of what's brought you there.
And one other last thing I can add to there off of Curtis is that something that's really great about being in a program like CreateX is that you have a lot of resources and mentors and support as you're going through the process. So you could come in with thinking that you're going to solve this specific problem, but you find out that's actually not the type of problem you really want to be solving, and you completely pivot to doing something else. Mm-hmm. And the benefit of having such a great program like this is that there are people to support you in that process. And even through just the couple months that we've been in this program, we've seen a lot of businesses completely change their business idea to be even better. And so having that kind of program, in the future, maybe applying to something like CreateX might be a good path too.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jenny. Okay, so obviously we're here in a virtual format due to COVID-19. So can you talk about how starting a company in the midst of a pandemic has either been challenging or maybe have helped to propel your startup? Susan, I feel like
I'm gonna.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna say it for ChemNu. So we did pivot 3 times actually before, right after the COVID, because our platform was meeting in person with other people. Because of COVID, it changed everything for our startup. And I think the biggest thing is like, just don't give up, like keep pivoting until you get to the point where your startup actually works for you. Because I hear a lot of people who have their own startup, and because of any major event in their life, or some things not working out with their teammates, they ended up giving up their startup. So that's the biggest thing. Like if one thing doesn't work, that doesn't mean it's end of the end of the journey. Just to pivot it and move forward, and you'll find the path automatically. So I think the biggest thing for us is we had to pivot our product twice after COVID. So that's the biggest learning point for us. And for the other entrepreneurs who wants to get into, start their own startup, I think it's just to keep going and just don't give up. That's the biggest thing. I think it's hard. Yeah, it's like for example, for me, I do full-time college. I work full-time and I'm also working full-time on Chemnu. So I think that's another thing. Like if you believe on your startup, just don't listen to anyone else. Just keep going and you'll find the path for your startup.
I can actually say, go off on that in a completely new direction, is that instead of pivoting, I feel that me and Jenny actually found that there were many new emergences of markets because of COVID. People were finding these issues that they never had to really deal with before. And for us, like I'm currently wearing our set right now, but making a comfortable yet like professional clothing set for women was something that people didn't need before, since they didn't have to stay at home. They weren't doing these Zoom conferences. So for us, COVID-19 was definitely, I think, an eye-opener in seeing a lot of different new ways and creative ways to solve issues.
And let's see. So, and then for Tango Labs, how the COVID situation it affected us is so the thing is like our platform people can use to either like find teammates for projects or find other projects and opportunities, right? And right now, how students would either find teammates is maybe they talk to friends or classmates, and then maybe they're not sure like who to reach out to afterwards. But because of the coronavirus situation, there'll be less physical interaction between classmates and friends and everyone. So our like website or our platform can apply like even more now, like in the virtual setting with like either finding teammates or even networking and messaging other students. So I feel like we're more applicable now than ever. Regarding all of this, there was some bad stuff in the sense that, yeah, I like for marketing, I wanted to actually like go to campus club meetings like in person or do like some in-person marketing or telling people like everything in person. But of course that had to change because of the coronavirus issue. And then so my like friend and I, we started like emailing, phone calling, setting up video meetings as well with clubs and organizations because we couldn't do the like an in-person like meetings.
Mm-hmm. And things may be like this for quite some time. So it's good to have an idea that can be adjusted as times change because you just never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So it's good to stay flexible. Okay, so we'll go ahead and open it up for questions. I see that there are two in the chat so far. One, were any of you all involved in CreateX Scholars as freshmen? And so I'll go ahead and answer that question. I don't believe that any one of these entrepreneurs were involved in CreateX Scholars. CreateX Scholars is a fairly new program, so I don't think that it was up and running when any of you all were incoming freshmen. But it is a new program. If anybody is interested in CreateX Scholars, I highly encourage you to participate if you can, if you get a chance to apply. But you do get, my favorite thing about the program, you do get a summer internship with one of our startups. So you get a guaranteed internship already your first summer. So that's definitely one of the perks. But you also get an entrepreneurial mentor to kind of walk you through different resources on campus that can help you build your idea, along with a few other perks as well.
I think that's amazing because I don't even think I knew what a startup was when I was a freshman. So it's incredible that I think a bunch of you are freshmen and you're here because you have at least 3, 4, 5 years to figure out if you want to make a startup, what you want to make it about, and you have the privilege of doing that at a big institution with so many resources that really supports entrepreneurial drive and innovation. So I would say while you're here, really take advantage of that, because I think that a lot of people out of school really wish that they were still in school so that they could get access to the level of resources that we have here.
Yeah. Have any of you made a profit off your startups yet?
No, like I
Uh,
have no, we spent money for incorporating the company. We spent money for hosting a server, for getting a domain name. So no, not yet. Right now, like we have the like a minimum viable product out, and then we're gonna have like some organizations and clubs like that are gonna like beta test our product out. So right now not at the point of charging people money.
that's an
I
excellent
would like
question,
to,
actually.
I would like to add that. So when you do your startup, right, don't always look for, hey, how I'm gonna make money, first of all. First of all, see how can you get the user on your platform or get buy your product, right? And see what's the retention rate is. And after that, if you have a like, let's say, best product, the 1,000 users are using your product, or the growth rate is really 10x more than any other platform, and you just get starting out, then you go back and think about how can we charge customer, how people are gonna pay for your platform, and actually you're gonna start making money. So I think that's another big thing where like people always try to focus on, hey, how are you gonna make money on your startup? First, to see if you believe in your idea and see if your idea really works, if you are getting lots of users, and if you do, then think about more about generating profit out of your startup.
There's a saying that goes, try to add more in value than you take in payment. And over time, that compounds, and then when you start getting payments, it comes in bigger bulk.
That's a really good point. And also, as a student, um, it's a little easier. Well, easy is relative, but financially, it's easier to build a company while you're a student before real life adult bills have hit, so that you have some time to to really build out the value. You aren't rushing to make a profit, and so that, like you just mentioned, that when it is time for you to make that profit, it's much bigger. Oh, let's see. How do you know who to contact once you had a problem or pain point or solution?
Well, you contact the people that have your problem, have that problem. You try and just reach out to as many people as you think they can have that problem and listen to them. Sure.
That's the biggest part, listening to them.
You definitely want to ask the problem, and really everything they teach you in CreateX is don't say a word about your solution. Maybe in the entire call of customer discovery or in the end, because that kind of contaminates all the good customer discovery information you're getting. You don't want to say like, oh, look, I made this amazing lipstick that turns your face blue. Isn't that awesome? No, you want to say, I don't know, what kind of lipstick do you want? I don't know.
Okay, we can go on to the next question. How have you been able to combine your academic work, so courses and research, to identify potential ideas or launch your startup? And now some of you all, your startup kind of corresponds with your academic work or your major, and some of it doesn't, and either is fine. But anybody want to speak to that?
I know probably most of you aren't interested in fashion, but I think it can be sort of applied to all disciplines, is that since I'm a fashion design major and I'm doing my senior project on sustainability, maybe it's not exactly how what exactly we're doing in our startup, but I think the number one thing is that I have a vast amount of resources, professors, other students I've worked with in the past that I can reach out to if I want to develop a better idea in this field. And I think, sure, we do, I have also used information from my courses, but it's more those people that I've met along the way that I can talk to and develop my ideas further.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, one big thing about school is that it depends, I guess, on the types of classes that you're taking, but oftentimes you never use the things that you learn in your coursework in what you do in your day-to-day job. And the purpose of the courses are to teach you about a certain way of thinking or a certain like framework that you use as you approach a problem. And so that kind of problem solving process that you're getting from your classes is going to be much more valuable than any like one piece of information that you're getting from any one given class.
Hmm.
All right. What's the one thing you would have done differently if you had to do this journey over again? Your faces.
I mean, I like for me, I don't think I would have done something differently in the sense that I am where I am like today. Like any like for example, like a little bit about Tangle Labs. Like some people might not know, right? Is first I had the idea, then I had 4 or 5 people working on it. That and then somehow like that group fell through, and then I met Thomas, and then Thomas and I started working on it, and then now we're at CreateX as well. So like regarding like what I would have done differently, the truth is I personally wouldn't have done anything differently because I feel like I am where I am today. Like every single like any good thing or any bad thing, it has led me here in the sense like so
I
that's
think maybe taking notes and writing down what I've done this whole time. It would have been nicer to have like a full journal of like every week or so, just so I could look back on it. But I think everything's been in the straight line.
So you would have documented your journey more.
Yeah.
Notes,
oh
with that and Jenny have been vlogging our entire process, whether it's sewing or meeting with people or just we even vlog our CreateX meetings. Ria doesn't know that, but I've taken videos of that before. And it's just honestly, if you want to look back into that and see, oh, where was I at week 2? Where was I at week 4? It's definitely a great curve.
That's really cool that you guys vlog. Yeah, that's really cool. Anyone else
We
do
kind of
something
block, but through Instagram.
through Instagram? Your stories?
Through stories, through posts, and say, hey, this is where we're at. This is a new update that's happening. Check this out. There's a cool hangout happening here. Come join us. Things like that.
Okay. What were the most beneficial resources within CreateX that helped develop your startups? Examples, materials, mentors, workspace, etc.
I would have to say mentors. Absolutely. Mentors, as well as all the other people in the cohort, everyone is there to support you. Everyone wants to see you succeed. So the best part here is part of your customer discovery, you can easily reach out to them. There are 70 plus teams. There are plenty of mentors who you can reach out to, different expertise. Um, and just getting that valuable feedback and implementing into your startup, taking other people's experiences and putting it into your own so you don't have to make the same mistakes they did. And in that way, you're able to propel your startup faster and further at a much rapid rate.
Hmm.
And I do have to say is that maybe some of you have an idea where you think a startup incubator at Georgia Tech can't help you, because I think me and Jenny thought that when we were coming in as a fashion startup. But all of these mentors in the program, they also have their connections and their friends. And Rahul, which is I think the associate director of the launch program, linked us up with this incredible, incredible mentor who is the co-founder of Southern Tide. And we're able to learn so much from him. So definitely don't feel like it's daunting, since a lot of these startups are tech. There are a lot of people willing to help and willing to connect you to the right people.
All right. We have a few more questions, and then Risha was able to get the video working, so you'll all be able to see the video at the end. But are there any clubs or classes you would recommend to learn skills to make a startup? Well, I'll answer, and then if anybody else wants to add to that, I'll give a plug for CreateX classes. Of course, we offer Startup Lab, which is an undergraduate, a 3-credit undergraduate course for anyone interested in entrepreneurship. So during that class, you'll learn a lot of the basics. You can kind of think of it as an entrepreneurship 101 type of class. We also offer, for those who like to tinker and build things, we offer a class called Idea to Prototype, and that's another 3-credit course. We give you a grant to buy parts to build your prototype. That's a non-traditional class in that it only meets 3 times a semester. So once on the first day of classes, once during a midpoint, and then one time at the very end to showcase what you built. But you have to have a lot of self-discipline with that class because you're expected to build your product throughout the course of that semester. So those are 2 classes for anyone interested in entrepreneurship to kind of get a good footing.
Mm-hmm.
Any other classes? Anybody or resources?
I would definitely retweet I2P, Idea to Prototype. I've done it twice. I love it. I love tinkering. There's also another CreateX class, 2803 Invent, which I took that as a freshman. Gave me a really nice basis in just thinking like an engineer, thinking like an entrepreneur at the same time, how to build kind of a product and understand why products are created in the first place. And
unfortunately, we will offer Invent in the fall,
no.
But Startup Lab and I2P is still great.
Okay.
I think another good club is Startup Exchange. For people who don't know it, it's basically a club filled with other like-minded students who like either want to be involved with startups or just interested in like startups. And in Startup Exchange, like every now and then, they usually get entrepreneurs and businessmen like to give like a speech to the students, and like just someone actually from Startup Exchange interviews the person, and then you get like some like you learn a lot more like from what people are saying as well. And then so you can meet a lot of people from Startup Exchange.
I think John meant businessmen and women.
And okay, sorry, yes. So then is it called? Then would the proper term be business people then?
Sure.
Business people. Okay, sorry, yeah. I meant to include everyone.
Okay, so there's one more question for Jenny and Susan. How do you make your clothes? Do you have a factory or something, or to make it by hand or at home?
So our original idea was actually to be able to go to the factories overseas, but unfortunately, with COVID, we've had to improvise a little bit. So I actually, we have fabrics coming in, but because of the long shipping time, sometimes it's from overseas, sometimes it's out in LA. I actually make these by hand because my sewing machine is like right behind me right now. And there's a bunch of fabric stores in the Atlanta area. I go there and none of them are labeled. So I go there and touch everything. I'm like, what do I think is the content of this? What do I think is content of that? And I find the fabrics that are the closest to our final product fabric. And for the product testing, I'll be making them all by hand. But once we finish that stage and we have the product we do want to launch on August 20th, when the program ends, is when we'll go to the factories and then continue from there.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here and sharing your insights. I hope that this was very helpful to the students that are listening. I enjoyed it. So hopefully they did as well. So Risha, if you could show the video, and then after that, we could wrap up if there's no other questions.
And fingers and toes crossed, this works.
Yeah.
Our startup is Spotlight AR, an augmented reality navigation platform for large outdoor venues.
We are Day Air Conservation. We're Tina Healthcare.
Our company is called Athlete.
Pretty Tech.
Airlogs. School Pass Live.
Me My Filio.
Needy Ninja.
Rift is a platform that connects massive internet icons with their massive fan bases through video games.
CreateX is one of the signature programs that Georgia Tech has to promote and educate our students in entrepreneurship so that they can become innovators and ultimately create businesses out of them.
About a year ago, I took this class called Startup Lab, and then I talked to the CreateX directors. I applied to the program.
The biggest thing we've learned in CreateX this summer is customer discovery, customer discovery, customer discovery.
The best part of CreateX has been the amazing people, the amazing teams, and amazing coaches who are so dedicated and answer emails at all hours of the night. It's been such a supportive environment.
Manufacturing, distribution, software, hardware. It's any question you could ask, they can pretty much have the answer to, or find someone that would know the answer to it.
The best part of CreateX has been Demo Day. Today has been wonderful, meeting a lot of people and showing that we have a great solution.
I've never spoke in front of as many people as I did tonight, and I've never been to the Fox Theater, and the first time I was there, I was on stage.
CreateX gave me the confidence to know that I can run my own business.
CreateX validated my idea and gave me confidence that I didn't have before to be an entrepreneur.
The coolest thing about CreateX is as students, they've had the opportunity to build businesses, each with a huge market and a big impact on the world. That's an incredible start to our careers.
There's no other time in your life where you'll get the trust, the mentorship, and the funding to pursue your own ideas. CreateX does just that.
All right. Thank you for showing that, Risha. If there aren't any other last thoughts, comments, concerns, maybe? And I guess you can wrap it up. I'm not sure how you want to wrap up, Risha.
So again, thank you so much for all the entrepreneurs for being on here today and just doing a fantastic job of just talking about your ideas, talking about your company. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you, Ria, and the CreateX family team for being there for us, for always being such a resource for our students. So thank you again. I want to let everyone know on the call that we have a Hat GT event this evening at 5. The login information for the event is in your chat. And so you can join us to find out a little bit more about problem solving and how you can actually, it's one of those precursors to Startup Exchange or CreateX, where you can think through solving problems for other companies and for our community. Thank you again for being here. And this would be it. This would be, we can say goodbye. We can log off at our convenience. Looking to make sure that we don't have any other calls, and we should be good or questions. Thank you again.
Thank you all. Bye.